Previous video series, we have discussed about most of the topics related to EPC, right? Velocity Product Console, right? Now, in this video, let's discuss about some interview questions related to that, and we will also verify our knowledge. Okay, so let's start. The first question is how to set up the pre-orders. Okay, the pre-orders means a product is not yet launched, but we still want user capability to order it. Okay, now instead using pre-order word, they can also give you a story. For example, iPhone 14 is not launched, I mean it's launching soon, and in Amazon we want to accept the orders before the actual launch date. So how we can do that in Velocity? They can also ask you what is the fulfillment start date. So all the questions related to this context have the same answer. Let's discuss that and go to the Salesforce. Yeah. So for that, you need to click on the search product and open any product. In our case, I have opened this and Apple 11. And in the general properties, you will see there are some dates. Let me explain you what these dates are basically. So the first thing is the selling start date. This is the date when you actually want your product to get sold. I mean, this you can say this is the actual date of launch when by which users can directly go and order these products. Okay, so it is 1st of Feb. That means in 1st of Feb, users can actually order this product, and there is a order button enabled in your in the console. Okay, the next, let's talk about this first fulfillment start date. You can see this is the 15th of January. Our product is launching on 1st of Feb, but the fulfillment start date is 15th of January. That means there are 15 dates before the actual launch date. So these 15 days are the tenure when users can pre-order it. At that time, in the cart, they will not get the order button. Instead, they will get the pre-order button. Okay, so the product is not yet launched, but still they can order it. So this is how we can configure the pre-orders. Let's also talk about this selling in date. So up to 2013, so sorry, 2023, October 18, 2023, users can order these products. After that, they wouldn't be able to order. And the life cycle in date means after 27, we don't provide any support for that product. Okay, so these are the major key areas where you actually configure whether your product is orderable or whether it is a pre-order thing. Okay, I hope this is clear now. Let's discuss about the next question, which is how to deal the sensitive information. Sensitive information means any information that is having any user related information or anything other than which we want to be encrypted basically. Okay, so in most of the cases we use this encrypted flag when we store a user related information. For example, username, user phone number, email address, the billing information like the ship where, what is the actual address of where the product is going, what is the Aadhaar number or anything that is very specific related to the user. So we basically encrypt that. Let's see how we can do that in Velocity. For that we need to go to any attribute. Let me see. Yeah, it is the, for example, this is the instead brand. Let's consider this is the address information of the user. Okay, so for that we need to select this encrypted checkbox. So what this encrypted checkbox does, it basically encrypt this information. Similar ways, if you have any field, you can go for Salesforce related encryptions. You can use the shield encryptions and all. Shield encryption is not free, it is paid. So better if to deal with the better if there is any such information that required encryption, just use these attributes. But even if you want to use the fields, you can go with the shield encryption. One more thing I want to highlight here, since you have encrypted this information on Salesforce level, if your third party APIs and all, they are also accessing this information, you can also inform those APIs team, the team that handle those API requests, to encrypt this information as well. Because see, in our Salesforce environment, we have encrypted it, but since we are exposing this information to the other party systems, it's their responsibility to handle this and encrypt these fields. Okay, so in general projects, when we work on projects, we highlight those things that this is the encrypted information. Use the encryption at that platform as well. All right, let's check the other question. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. What is the product object type? Okay, project product object type, when you were asked this question, you don't need to explain what exactly it is. You need to explain the usability or what it is used for. Okay, so see, you can highlight this project object type used for the reusable functionality. It is used to adjust the attributes, fields, and the layout. And you also need to mention inheritance word. Make sure you use this inheritance, and also a little bit explain about inheritance in the same context. So see, I hope I have already discussed this in the previous videos. In our project object type, we use inheritance. That means there is a parent object type, and then we create this child object type under that. Let's discuss. I think the next slide is on that. Yes, the inheritance. What is inheritance in the object type? You can also, these two questions are related. So whoever is asked, you need to give the same explanation. It's better. Let's talk about this. Let me actually explain you in a different manner. So for example, see, we want to configure a mobile and tablet information. Okay, so let's see this. So the first object type that we need to create is probably the electronics. My handwriting is good actually, but here it is, so please ignore. All right, so for that we need to create, this is our first category. Okay, first parent. Now under that we need to create two child object types. One is the phone, other one is the tab. Okay, so this is P2, you can say, second parent. At this level we can define some of the key elements that basically use for both of them. For example, color, right? Price. Price, we basically deal with the different, there is a different table to handle the price, but just say that this is one of the attribute as well. The other may be brand, right? RAM, ROM, and others as well, right? I just use those five, and maybe at that time you need to wisely think like what are the common between phone and tab, and whatever is the common you need to define at this layer. After then, in that phone, we further divide it into two parts, which is the Android, and the second one is the iPhone. Okay. And here tab, maybe you can define it like SIM, support SIM. No SIM, doesn't support SIM. In Android, after this layer, you can directly add your products, like maybe it is a MI, Samsung, and LG, and whatever. Like here, you can directly add it as iPhone 13, 12, 11, whatever, right? And here you can directly add your products again, like Samsung, iPhone, same here as well, right? So at this layer, up to here it is clear, right? At this layer, you don't need to, at this particular layer, you don't actually need to use all those color, price, RAM, and brand, and all those things. You don't need to define it here because it is already inherited from its parent, which is the phone. Okay, so all those things can directly come at this level. You can further optimize this. For example, is there any specific thing that you want to highlight for Android? You can define at this level, and those all things, this P1, sorry, P2, P3 will come under those products. And on product level, you can further change those things. Okay, we will discuss about this. I will show how we can do that. But this is the entire hierarchy. That is what I think I have displayed. In this slide, this is saying the same thing. At this P2 level, we have brand, color, capacity, right, and connectivity and mobile OS. And further, we added these two parameters, and all those parameters get inherited. And the product level, we added some more specific attributes and fields here. So this is the entire structure, how we use the inheritance. All right. They can also ask you what are the properties that inherited when you inherit any object type. So you can say it inherited the layout, fields, and the attributes. See guys, there is one hack here. Layout, by default, layout supports the what is called hybrid functionality. Okay, hybrid means you can use the layout that are used at this level, or you can also override those layouts. We will discuss about this. Yeah, first discuss about this. And let me jump to Salesforce. Let's go to the general properties and see this is the object type. You need to go to the object. I hope you have remembered those parts. You need to go to the object and go to the product 2. Under product 2, you need to go to objects, and there you will see this. This is the object type that we have used in iPhone 11, and you can see the parent is this, right? So all those attributes will be directly used under here. And once we use it in iPhone, we can further add other attributes here. We can directly change those attributes here as well if we want to override them. Getting it? All right. So let's talk about the layout management here. Now see guys, this is our object type. Here, the layout management, if you go, you will see those many fields are there, right? And now if you go to the project level, sorry, object level, and if you go to the attributes, sorry, layout management again, you will see there is a button called create custom layout. So at this level, whatever we have defined on the parent, right, it will, the iPhone 11 will use the same layout from here, whatever the defined in the object type. But if we want to change, we need to click on this button. What it will do, it will clone. This is the terminology here is called the deep cloning. It will clone everything, whatever given here. Just give it a time. Yeah, see, it cloned, right? Now you can add and override those things again. You can add any specifications, you can do that and as well. So in terms of the layout, it is hybrid. So to answer the question, whatever features that it get inherit, if the layout, fields and attributes, you can say the layout is a hybrid functionality. You can use the layout that is defined in the object type, or in the product, you can override this layout as well. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the next, which is the find reference button. They can ask you what is the find reference button, or they can also ask you how to check all those promotions, bundles, assets, codes at one glance. Okay, let's quickly see where the object find reference button basically used. Again, you need to go to the any product. In our example, we are in Apple 5, and there is a find reference button, right? Let me actually open a good example which has the value OG data. In the attribute, yeah, you need to go to the general properties here, the find reference button. Just click here, and yeah, see, at a glance you can see about your object reference, code opportunities. So all those things at a glance you can see. You can further change the layout for this as well. So let's go back to the PPT. So why we use find reference button? To check all those details in one glance. You can do that for a particular product. What are the promotions and all is going on? You can click on this button and you can check that. Okay, let's go to the next level. Yeah, this is the layout, how it basically looks like. Well, product bundle itself deserve a separate video series for the Q&A, but yeah, let's discuss about some of the basic questions. They can also confuse you by saying, if there is in a product bundle, there's a parent product, and if we use the child product, does it inherit all those fields and attributes from parent to child? The answer is obviously no. We can't do that. For that, we need to use the object types. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Next is, what is the virtual products? This is a pretty much interesting. I think I forgot to explain this when we are discussing about a project bundle. So let's talk about the virtual products actually. So guys, for example, let's say here we have a product bundle. This is our bundle. Okay, we are selling iPhone. With iPhone, we are selling Disney. Okay, and with that, we are selling 4G data plan. Okay, and this is a one bundle, and we have given some discount and ask user, if you purchase iPhone, you will get a discount on Disney and 4G plans as well. But user only selected our primary product, which is the iPhone, and he didn't select anything in the Disney and the 4G, and go to the card. At card level, when we will discuss this when we discuss about the object management and the CPQ. Okay, but here just understand, whenever we add such functionalities where they in the bundle they only selected a couple of products and doesn't select the other one, for that we need to create a virtual products for them. But for user it will only be iPhone, but in actually there will be two products, one for Disney and one for 4G as well. But those products will not be listed into the code, or they will not listed into the code level. Okay, so those products are called the virtual products. Okay, this is the definition. That is what they are used for. So those are the basic questions that I want to discuss, the topics that we have covered yet. Okay, let me know if you need a separate series on interview questions. I can also give that. In the next video series, I'm planning to make it on the CPQ, where we will discuss about the price quotes related stuffs, and then we will discuss about the order management. I will also try to create an order management series. That is it in this video. Feel free to subscribe if you learn anything new. All right, thanks. Bye.